No, 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 man! 2020. It feels almost like a cruel joke standing in front of this beautiful backdrop in 2020. This certainly is not an accurate reflection of what 2020 was. You see, at heart, I'm a cynical person, and I generally weave that into my videos, but all too often, I can't help myself but sprinkle in a bit of hope and optimism. So while 2020 was not a great year in any respect, and I'm drawn towards the idea of discussing the worst of 2020, like War of My Grandpa, the live-action Disney Mulan remake, fucking Scoob. Instead, I will be showcasing the best of what it had to offer.
Like Bad Boys for Life.
Oh yeah, he's here too.
Ah, ha, ha, that's hot.
And apparently we're still doing the fucking Will Smith bit. Apparently I listened to a lot of music this year. Huh.
Fuck you, bitch. Put me center frame.
Okay. Well, we'll let Spotify help out here. Howard Shore was my most listened to artist thanks to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, which is just magic. I listen to Concerning Hobbits the most. It helps that it's my go-to study playlist. You know, I'll be sitting there writing away as Frodo and the gang are braving the mines of Moria, and I'm reading this paper, and I find just the right sentence I need as the music swells, only for that sentence to be contradicted in the next paragraph just as Gandalf dies. It's something that just works for me. Saint Motel was disappointing this year with not much uniqueness or the same addictive tunes they used to put out. I listened to a bunch of Alex Cameron with Far From Born Again being my top song of the year, which is like this clever linguistic rhythmic song with a sort of slowed down catchy groove chorus, which acts as a sort of grown up endearing tune about sex work. In terms of music specific to 2020, Dan Deacon and Horse Lords provided plentiful experimentation and electro jazz, as well as Duck Sauce Captain Duck's remix was fun. However, I'm not stopping the streak now. MGMT's remix of Django Django's Spirals takes the top spot, because as long as they put out music, they will always be the top.
What's your name, man? Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. And there's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait.
They released a video recording of Hamilton on Disney Plus this year. It's Hamilton. Of course it's good. I doubt I'll ever get to see the play live, so I'm happy I got to experience it at all, even though it's a worse way too. Alexander Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, 8 out of 10 it done. Beautiful animation, enticing story, well put together and paced to provide an engaging experience to the audience. It's a movie documentary about the internet and it works. Do I have to say anything else? 8 out of 10.
Taking on itself.
Such a fun, inventive flow of a film. Everything here speaks. It's purposefully absent of plot, and yet you learn so much about the characters, and by extension the people it oh so faithfully represents. If 2018's climax creates an unflinching nightmare horror tone with extreme camera work and unflinching pace, this is the yang to climax's yin. It's laid back, isn't in a rush to go anywhere. It provides a delightful window into a time, place, and mood that very few people have experienced. And much like climax, it's memorable. 8 out of 10.
They were chopping them up, they were chopping them down.
This has such a simple premise, and yet it just works. Family immigrates to America, land of the free, and starts a farm. You know, this is their story. On top of all your film basics being pretty great, this is such an engaging story. You feel for every member of the family, especially David and the dad. While the film is mostly laid back in its approach, you know, more of a homegrown story, it still pulls out these big moments you don't expect. Or rather, moments that would usually be small are elevated due to the commitment to developing all of the family. When David runs to his grandma, oh, even in the end, when things aren't really fixed, you know this family is going to be okay. They have each other. They've overcome much worse. 8 out of 10. Here, my opinion is mostly a rehash of everything I said last year. I like Rick and Morty. I like Dan Harmon's writing style and comedy. Of course, I'm likely to keep enjoying Rick and Morty, unless the quality really takes a train dive off a cliff. Speaking of trains, that was probably my favourite episode from the season. It was just a dense episode with so much to absorb, that it was throwing me through loops. I think it stands out as a particularly experimental meta critique at what works and doesn't work in Rick and Morty plot structure. It's not to say this season doesn't have weak sauce episodes like the Alien episode and the Rick and Beth Planet episode, which are just forgettable compared to the other three. I liked that this season generally lent itself to smaller character moments, which effectively showed growth far more than any of the bigger moments could. I guess the ultimate issue is that Rick and Morty just doesn't contain the freshness that the first two seasons and even season 3 had. That's not to say it isn't extremely inventive and creative, plus the consistency with which it upholds a particular level of quality is to be commended. It's just that when you make a show, you have to make it season to season, often without knowledge of renewal. So it feels like the earlier seasons of Rick and Morty perhaps revealed too much of their hand, and now it's hard to surprise the audience as we've come to expect much of what Rick and Morty delivers. Now, with the understanding that Rick and Morty's renewed for 9 more seasons, I hope some level of planning can start with an endgame in mind. 8 out of 10. Just a fantastic animated movie. All aspects of this film just work so well together. There's very little I have to complain about this film. Maybe some janky lines here and there, the occasional annoying scene, but this is mostly expected with movies aimed at a younger audience. What makes it stand above is that it can be enjoyed by all ages. It has enough charm and mature themes, the animation and dialogue isn't watered down. In fact, the mix of clean outlined animated and scrappy unfinished animated is fit into each scene, especially when there's intense movement in the scene or action. Some of the transitions are super thoughtful and creative. The montages that use different panels and aspect ratios, alike to the Fargo TV series, are great. Perhaps the ending is less inspired than I'd like. It's definitely serviceable. It just doesn't leave much spice to chew on beyond how well prepared and nutritious this entire meal was. 8 nutritious meals out of 10. Ignoring the failed promise of Drummond playing a large role in this film, the alternative is far more interesting. An intimate personal journey of being deprived of one of your main senses. Beautifully performed by Venom's own Riz Ahmed. While he may have lost his hearing, he has not lost his humanity or his ability to enjoy and live his life. And the movie's main theme is continually reminding this character and the audience this understanding. It's heartbreaking to see the main character continually miss this understanding. And when he finally finds his moment of peace, everything clicks. And as an audience, you are left satisfied knowing Riz Ahmed's character is gonna be okay. I would be adrift not to mention the representation of the deaf community and the use of American Sign Language. On top of that, Riz Ahmed's dedication to the performance stands out as a highlight of this year. 8 out of 10. I played Will of the Wisps. That was super polished, if not particularly innovative. 6.5 out of 10. I beat Fall Guys. That's right. Me. I, myself, beat Fall Guys. 6 out of 10. Squadrons was what was advertised on the box. I was like, and yeah, it was unlike a lot of games I'd ever played. Unfortunately, the loading times and the lack of a group to play with killed it for me. 6.5 out of 10. I replayed all the Arkham games. City and Night proved to be timeless classics. The whole series in general just remains this tasty morsel to be eaten up like some kind of, you know, spicy meatball.
Now that's a spicy meatball.
I feel like something big happened this year. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, what was that game? Oh yeah, Cyberpunk happened. I was lucky enough to get a PS5, so that's cool. I played Spider-Man.
It's called Queens. See ya.
Which the story had me playing less of Spider-Man and more not Spider-Man, like MJ or this Peter Parker fellow. And then when I was playing as Spider-Man, it was like, boom, here's all these chores, enjoy that, fucko. Like it was some kind of Ubisoft trash.
This is my kind of gentrification.
Oh my god. That was some 6 out of 10. The Last of Us was gripping with its characters and its slow building momentum and truly mouth-dropping moments. Like, the entirety of winter was such a highlight for that game, my lord, 8 out of 10. Then I was like, Will Smith, I had to go back in time. All the way back to the beginning, or as I like to call it, Uncharted 1, not very fun.
Nathan, what are you doing? No! Get on the rock! Stupid. What are you doing? What?
This section right here on hard difficulty was the definition of pain.
Fuck's sake. No! Jesus Christ! This is impossible! Come on, come on, come on! Oh no, this... No, 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 holy shit! Yeah, gun and no, nice for the win.
It's Drake. He never found it. He just.
But you're Drake. How are there two Drakes? This is unbelievable. Nathan, what's going on?
Piece of shit. 2 out of 10.
Oh my god.
And then Uncharted 2 comes in and it's like, ooh, we start on this train off a cliff, collapsing as you climb up.
Awesome.
Yeah, great view. I can see your house. Let's get moving.
Everything that was stupid and broken about the first is reversed here. This feels like a timeless game.
Kitty got wet, bitch.
Kitty got wet.
Look at this room. It's the bad guy waiting room.
The shooting and level design really pick up everything that was broken about the first one.
Drake? Silly Drake.
No!
Don't do that. Just climb this rubble, Drake. Drake, climb the rubble. You can do it, Drake. Come on, Drake.
This level sucked. It's crappy climbing puzzle garbage.
Oh my god. He lit the stone, the powerful stone, and now they're revealing the PlayStation 6 already. Oh my god.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye. Really? Fucking let me, come on. Come on. Come on, you bastard.
Nazis.
Nazi?
Why is it always gonna be Nazis?
I enjoyed 2 like 1 didn't exist. 8 out of 10.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when...
Amen.
Amen,
Amen.
amen, amen.
You know it's going to be a great movie when it starts with my pet peeve of random establishing shots of cities.
This is not very good.
Yeah, but mind you, it's not entirely terrible. It's close though. But you're not really sure what or why anything is happening.
On top of that, if anything actually happened.
Like, they're just a couple of bad boys driving a Porsche.
A couple of bad boys holding a baby.
There's like this strange Spanish villain side plot that it's kind of like, why? It's pretending to be super connected and important to one of our bad boys.
Mistake from the past.
But it's too much. Actually, it's amazing because you're following the Spanish side plot and they just appear in places with like no context. But because these scenes can't really follow each other, you have to have this short scene between of the bad boys just goofing off. I started using my common sense on this film and like picking flaws in it. Like how the bad guys are like, Will Smith must die last.
Then continue on to basically kill him first, and then no joke, this is like the entire conflict.
But this movie is beyond logic. It's not worth it.
You just have to accept that it doesn't give a shit or make sense.
Yeah, why should we put any effort to engage with this film?
The montage in the middle of like Will Smith gearing up and Martin Lawrence being an old man at home was good.
I hate DJ Khaled, and Will Smith torturing him was a definite highlight of 2020. There were some very strange scenes, and it got to the point where I just wanted to move on. I'd had enough. Like, the movie is so hard to watch and to want to watch. Like, shit just happens, and they're pretending like this is some cop drama we can actually follow. You know something we should actually care about with emotion? every time they have like a Bad Boys moment, it is laughably cringe. Like the we ride together, we die together, Bad Boys for life, life. If I wasn't taking notes, I actually might have turned this shit off. Like, there is plenty of room to have an actual thoughtful retrospect on the bad boy lifestyle. But this is like a half-assed lame nothingness.
If Will Smith wasn't in this, it would be entirely forgotten.
Yeah, no, scratch that. Non-existent. 3 out of 10.
You going to jail today, motherfucker. I say criminal, you say jail. Criminal, jail. Criminal, jail.
Wow. Is an all-purpose exclamation, it can mean you loved it, or it can mean there are no words to describe how rubbish it is. And oh man, this is a moody film. I love how stable the camera is inside the car, but every time you get a view outside the norm, it's unflinchingly strange. How the band-aid on David Thewlis's forehead is perfectly blended to his skin tone and just always there. The cartoon showing up, the metaphorical freezing to death in the car, the dog just dying between shots, Old Man Thewlis. I don't think this is a masterpiece. It isn't as actively inventive as some of Kaufman's previous flicks, and the pacing is just a bit off in parts. But it is pretty darn close to one. It's always great to find a movie where all aspects are under the same cohesive vision. It's a dense film, dialogue heavy, hard to follow and pick up the many pieces it's throwing down. It's got all of the Kaufman specials you've come to expect. Large focus on age and death, existence, and how art relates to it. The unbearable human condition. To compare this to 2019's masterpiece, The Lighthouse, which are eerily similar films at least in tone and aspect ratio, I found The Lighthouse to have more shots that took my breath away, and was able to say far more with just the visuals, editing, and tone. Not to say this doesn't have tone and a great use of every aspect of the film. It just has so much dialogue that at points it's hard to appreciate everything else. What this is though, is a supreme in-depth character study into Jake. The way this film is essentially in his head. Thus, every character, every shot, all the weird ticks, how everything represented, is giving the audience a first-class ticket into what the janitor, or real Jake, thinks, and the meaning he tries to draw from his mundane, failed life. Jake is intensely alone. He wants to be noticed. He needs to express himself. He wants all of the unseen good actions he does to mean something. But they don't. And now he's at the end of the line. He is going to kill himself. And his brain is desperately trying to rationalize some meaning from everything. Whew. Unfortunately, I can't give this above an 8. It goes for over 2 hours and just isn't engaging enough. It failed the phone test, especially on rewatch. Even with everything that is great about it, all of the praise, I can't forgive a film for being boring. Which is super fitting to 2020 that my favourite movie of the year, I find boring. I also can't forgive a film that lists off a bunch of popular musical but negates to mention Cats! What were you thinking, Kaufman? 8 out of 10! I overlooked this one when I was watching it, but now we're at the end of the year, I have to say, this show was super consistently good. Like, I have very little bad to say about it. Maybe that the early episodes spend a bit too much time with setups and can't quite match the excitement of the later half. What strikes me perhaps the most is just how methodical everything is. It's like watching a chess game and Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould are moving all the pieces into their place, and every time you think the game is predictable or stuck in a rut, with one move it reminds you just how high the level of quality is. Ironically, the same metaphor doesn't translate over to the actual chess show from this year. As good as that was. As everyone everywhere has said, Tony Dalton's Lalo is a fantastic addition. And Bob Odenkirk and Rhea Seehorn continue to absolutely blow our already high expectations away with their performance. The episode Wexler v. Goodman was a standout with some very unexpected tense twists. Same with Bagman, which became the kind of non-typical episode of the season, with mostly one plot. The follow-up to that episode, Bad Choice Road, started with an awesome montage, then some great comedy and emotional beats, to one of the most extreme tense situations on TV. It was truly a meaningful edge-of-your-seat roller coaster. Overall, Better Call Saul continues to only get better as we go along. While earlier seasons didn't quite have the freshness of Breaking Bad, these later seasons are blowing it out of the park over and over, and matching the quality of Breaking Bad while having enough spin to be its own thing. 8.5 out of 10. Now, let's talk about some spicy meatballs. Okay, let's say you have to make a story. However, the audience already knows what will happen to the characters and can anticipate the biggest events in the story. How do you make something that means anything? Well, you work around these events, weaving threads of interesting story with the material you have. You use your audience expectations to only further build tension. You have the story have constant momentum. Even the speed bumps further propel the events and characters. Whew, this whole thing feels different to almost anything else in media. Not only is it the massive finale to a show that started in 2008 and was then cancelled to only be renewed for basically just these episodes. I'm not talking about the earlier episodes, they're dead to me. I have no idea how a season's quality can fluctuate between absolute garbage and basically a masterpiece. But it's Star Wars. There's no winning. Something like this shouldn't be possible. It should disappoint. Even more so, since these stories have all but been concluded in sequel shows. Even from the first second, this whole story is different in how it's presented, in its goals. There's a finality to everything. One of the best things expansion media can do is improve the original material. But the problem is that even with these goals, it is substantially difficult to create stakes, especially with established characters. Thus, Siege of Mandalore is full of these long-awaited fan moments, twisted to provide the narrative punch you don't expect. It's sad. You have these scenes and they're not played as big emotional moments, but it slowly hits the audience that, wow, this is the last time these characters will ever see each other. And they hardly said goodbye. It's subtle. The animation is absolutely stunning. The set pieces are well thought out and choreographed. I mean, they motion captured the main lightsaber fight. It is unreal. The music, it's all the familiar Star Wars motifs, but quieter, and mixed in with more original Clone Wars tracks. Everything is so reserved, and I absolutely love it. Sure, this still has some goofy moments, and its fair share of pulpy tropes, but it's the way in which it circumvents these potential negatives to have touching, serious moments, and still be fun. With that said, Maul is appropriately terrifying, and the way he has these softly spoken monologues, and his fight escaping the troopers with no weapons, oh, chef kiss. The emotion in Ahsoka's face and tone really pulls through to humanize this character. The sequence where Ahsoka contemplates Maul's offer, and then the window shatters with sparks and shards of glass coming through. Episode 3 has these slow building synths until the moment comes, and in an orchestral second, the action picks up, in betrayal, Order 66 arrives. Episode 4's climax of Ahsoka having to let go of Maul to survive another day, that long moment of contemplation while the Star Wars motif gently kicks in. If Star Wars The Clone Wars is remembered for anything, I hope it's these 4 episodes. 9.5 out of 10. I don't know what I'm meant to say. What can we expect in the future? Is it gonna be better? I don't know. No Time to Die still isn't out. I have 3/21ths of a James Bond video complete. Who even knows if No Time to Die will come out in 2021? I guess, to pull meaning, sometimes reality is disappointing and harsh. Real plants die. Plagues happen. And sometimes the artificial imitation provides more beauty and meaning. In the end, there's no escaping either. Who knows what's next? But what actually is next though?
Doctor Who Christmas special.
Fuck!